The Royale is the workhorse, but it's time for you to meet the nice lathe. Sorry about that.
The funniest thing happened yesterday. When I measured this, it was spot on, 100% correct. And today, when I came out and measured it, it was wrong. And whoa, no jumping to conclusions. I wasn't measuring a hot part. What happened was, the customer changed their mind. I was building this drive shaft for an Imperial gearbox, but now, well, we've gone metric. So we've gone from a 1-inch shaft up to a 25mm shaft. Anyway, I wasn't even going to film this. It was just a very routine job, but, well, suddenly it's just become interesting. So let's make this right. I don't want to scrap this part, and unfortunately I can't even just end for end it, because now the bearings are 25mm, and I've already okayed this repair with the customer. In fact, they suggested it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this diameter down, and I'm going to make a sleeve to go over the top that's going to bring this back up to 25mm. I could build it up with weld and machine it off, but that's going to put a lot of heat and a lot of distortion into this part, and it really doesn't need it. It's not going to experience any real load, let's put it like that.
The final drill bit I ended up running through the part was a 3/4 19mm drill, and the run out was horrendous. I could see it getting progressively worse as I stepped up through the drills, and I know it's because the tailstock isn't aligned properly. I've got to address that one of these days, but the boring bar is going to fix all of this, thankfully. Perfect. .07, that's not bad. I'm going to zero out my micrometer and then crank that down on the shaft, and that should give me the exact amount that I need to remove. I failed to mention that the stock that the repair sleeve is made out of was 1 inch in diameter, so that's 25.4 millimeters. And the target dimension that I'm going for the UC205 bearing is 24.97, something about that. 24.98 is pretty good. It's a nice sliding fit with no wriggle. Having already zeroed the micrometer at the desired dimension, I just had to crank down on the shaft to see how close I got. Not bad.
.205 bearing. That is really nice. It's just the tiniest bit of resistance on that. I'll take it.
When I released the material from the forejaw, I was very careful to release each jaw a similar amount so that when it came time to truing it up, it wasn't too much work. I was pretty much where I needed to be. The process of getting the stock to run true is pretty straightforward. Using the dial indicator roughly on center line, you wriggle the stock backwards and forwards, and that gives you a low point. You take note of that measurement and keep doing the opposite side. And it's a process of just doing that again and again and again until you basically get the same measurement all the way around. And at that point, the stock is running true.
Where the low spot is, that sort of, that's my point of reference. That's like 0.01 off. That'll do me.
I'm pretty sure that some of you out there are wondering why this drive shaft has a square center. And basically that's because there are some plastic gears that will go onto this that have a square center in those, and that's what's going to drive the belt. This will be driving an Intralux style belt. An Intralux belt is pretty cool. It's a plastic modular system that sort of all links together to make like a continuous chain that can be made to any width or length that you need. It's a low speed, high torque situation. It's very positive. They can be driven underwater. They don't require tracking or tensioning for that matter. In fact, they like to be run loose. It's sort of pretty standard for the industry that I've worked in.
I reckon that'll be pretty good actually.
Pretty standard practice is to throw a tap in the end of your shaft just to help retain the gearbox. My mill has stops for the power feed, and so I've set those so I can just completely switch off and not think about what I'm doing. Yay for modern conveniences. And because I opted for the most rigid setup ever seen on YouTube, I'm taking this pretty slow and steady. I'm also using a roughing end mill to cut the keyway. That's probably not ideal as the finish isn't the best, but I find these are very forgiving, and when you're learning, forgiving is good.
.7 by 8mm key steel. This is why I had it sitting out so far. I know that's not ideal, but I wanted to be able to test fit this, and if it wasn't right, be able to take a few more cuts. Oh yes! Oh, that is nice. And that's playing the gearbox and that's not playing the shaft. That is perfect. That is just what I was after. Oh, it's good to have a win. Alrighty. Well, that's that. this sort of stuff on the mill is, you know, it's the basics, but it's what I'm still mastering, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I kind of feel like I really shouldn't be even showing some of this because I'm just so in the early stages of my journey with all of this gear. So anyway, yeah, that's a good win. I'll deburr this now, and that's a job done. I can go inside and call it a day.